I hope I'm live. It's the first time I'm doing this, so hey everyone. I've been recording a lot of videos of how I'm building several apps that I'm working on, and unfortunately, so far I haven't published any of them to YouTube because I spent a lot of time trying to edit them, or I'm not happy with how they turned out. I keep re-recording them and so on. So I decided that I'll just go live and show how I'm working on something using AI assisted coding, specifically coding with cursor in this scenario. So let me talk about what I want to build today. I started working a few days ago on an Azure Devops extension that allows you to have pull requests reviewed by AI. This is something that I think could be useful, especially if you have large pull requests. It could summarize them. I think it could point out various defects that you have, things that static analysis tools like Sonar or I don't know, there are other tools out there that do this and they're not that useful. Okay, so it's one thing to get notified that the naming is incorrect, and it's another thing to see a potential performance problem in your code. Okay, so this is what I plan to do with AI, and let's see what, let me show you what I've done so far. So I'll go back to the first prompt that I had, and doing this, I'm also going to explain to you how I'm working with AI. Now, in this scenario, I have cursor opened, and this is the original prompt that I used. /pro, I want to create an Azure DevOps extension that reviews pull requests using OpenAI API. It should be able to review diffs and make comments with suggestions. That's it. So right now, I just want to validate the idea. I want to try it with a few organizations, see what they think. And if I see that this product can be successful, then I'll code a real solution. I'll still be using AI, but I'm not going to vibe code it, of course. So right now it's just about creating an MVP, a proof of concept for validating the idea. That's why I mostly did vibe coding, and let me explain to you how I'm working with AI. First of all, I'm using the agent mode, okay, because I wanted to modify several files. I don't want to just modify a few files that are already in the context, or be in read-only mode where I just ask questions about the code base. Agent mode is allowed to modify your entire code base. Okay, so when you're starting with a new project, this is something that I recommend. Now, you might be wondering what this pro means. So I'm going to show you my cursor roles. Okay, if I go to rules and memories, I have this role. Let me expand it. So here's what it says. When I start the prompt with /pro, you'll do the following. Before coding, do 5 checks, then propose 2 paths. I want to see at least 2 assumptions that the AI is making. I want to see counterpoint, logic check, perspective shift, bias check. And in the end, I want 2 solutions. One that's the quickest viable solution, and the other that's the best practice solution. That's because usually AI has a tendency to provide overly complex solutions to simple problems. So this way, I force it to give me also a quick and dirty fix, or maybe not dirty, but a quick fix. Okay, so here's what it did for me. These are the 5 checks that it does before coding. Assumptions. Is assuming that I'm targeting Azure DevOps Services cloud rather than on premises, which is correct. Okay, imagine that it didn't that it understood the other way around and it tried to target on premise. Then I might have been working and developing the extension only to realize that it doesn't work on the cloud service. Okay, OpenAI integration scope. You want automated reviews that can analyze code changes, identify potential issues, suggest improvements, and post comments directly to pull requests. Yeah, that's what I want. I don't want this from the start. I'll start with something very basic, but in the end, yeah, this is what I'll do with this extension. Okay, counterpoint. I have privacy and security risks. Sending proprietary code to OpenAI's API raises significant security concerns. That's right. Logic check, correctness. Azure Devops extensions can access PR APIs and post comments. Okay, secure API key management, correct. OpenAI API calls add latency. Yeah, that's fine. Perspective shift. Instead of a traditional review everything approach, consider a selective analysis pattern where the extension only reviews files, allows developers to opt in. Yeah, but I'm going to see in the future how I'm going to handle this because, yeah, I have several ideas on how this extension could work. I don't want developers to just rely on AI and say that, hey, AI reviewed it, I don't have to look at it anymore. No, AI is like a helper, it's like a tool. Maybe in the beginning AI will have a first review and then developers will look at it again, but I think this will encourage them to rely on AI instead of doing a thorough research. So a better use case would be to have the developers review the code initially, then have the AI to review it again. You see what issues the AI finds and count the ones that are accepted by the team. So imagine this: your team does the review for the pull requests, they find 0 issues. Then you have the AI which does the review, it finds 10 issues. Okay, maybe most of them are silly issues which are not accepted. So from 10, only 3 issues are accepted that need to be changed, that need to be updated in the pull request. Well, this means that your team missed those issues and the AI didn't, right? So that would be a cool KPI to track, how many issues the AI finds that your team doesn't. And still the team is in control. So they will accept the reviews from the AI. Cool. Let's see what's next. Bias check. Organization policy. I don't know. Right now I'll use my organization for Azure DevOps. When I'll have the first customers, I'll check them. All specific types of code reviews, security issues, code quality, performance, documentations. Okay, so now I have 2 solution paths. Web-based extensions with service hooks. Simple web extensions, registers, PR event webhooks, lightweight web service, so probably like an API, which is triggered by this with webhooks. I'll have an open AI API key, limited customization, and then the best practice solution, full Azure DevOps extension with background processing, complete extensions with hub pages, web item integration, configuration UI. Okay. So this might be too complex. Here's what I said. This is a personal project. Later I'm going to sell it to other organizations. I'll use this only in Azure DevOps Cloud, so not the on-premise version. I don't want Sonar-like reviews. I want human-like reviews that understand context like an LLM. Okay. Good. So now we have the quickest viable solution. I'm going to quickly go over this. I approved what it said. I then said that I want an MVP. Remember, this is a POC. This is just vibe coding right now. It's not something that I endorse for production code. Okay, we have the MVP implementation plan, architecture overview. Yeah, it's not going to take 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, then I approved this. I said go ahead, and it started creating the project. Okay, see, it's creating folders. Yeah, it's adding packages. Okay, So after it wrote some code, I have this solution that I'm using now. So let me go back all the way here. Because at some point it started um, creating an extension that was connecting to Azure Devops on-prem, and I had to remind that I'm using the cloud version. So I needed help testing the extension. Now I'm going to show you how it works. Okay, so if I remember correctly, I had to start ngrok. Okay, so I think this is the command. Let me just go here. Okay, the Azure Devops extension, I think, or the webhook service. Let's see. No, that's the problem when you use AI to write code. You immediately forget how it works when you didn't write it yourself. So I think I developed this like 5 or 6 days ago, and it's not ready. The only thing that I did was to have C# API that is invoked when a pull request is being created in Azure DevOps. Okay, let me check here. So I have this webhook service. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, we started ngrok. Now I think I need to go to Azure DevOps Service Hook and add this URL. So this is what I'm going to do here. Okay, so if you go to the project settings in Azure DevOps, you have the service hooks page, and here you can add several hooks depending on what you want to listen to. In my case, I added one for pull requests, so you can see that you have various events here. Okay, in my case, it's pull request created. I don't care about the repository. Okay, let's go next. And this is the URL. So I'm going to change this. This is the endpoint that I need to be that I want to trigger when I make the pull request. Okay, and I think that I also have an open AI API key. Okay, configuration. Okay, I'm going to add the API key here. And I also need an Azure DevOps personal access token. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add user secrets. Okay, and I'm going to create a personal access token and an OpenAI API key. Okay, let me just go here. Personal access tokens, new token. Okay, what do I need? Do I have something for pull requests? Read and write pull request comment threads. I'll just go with full access right now, and I'll see later what I need. Okay, let me create it. I'm going to take this here. Okay, now I'll also create OpenAI key. Of course, I'm not going to show it to you. Okay. So I have the key. Now I'm going to run the code. And here I'll click on the test button and we'll see if my endpoint gets triggered. Okay, it is. So this is the pull request event. Now what we have so far is a C# endpoint that gets invoked whenever a pull request is created. And what's this? Get review configuration. Oh, okay. So I need actually this structure. So I'll have to update my secrets file. Just give me a moment. Okay, I think I'm done. So now I'm going to run this again. Okay, I'm just going to test if my keys are set. There's one more thing I need to fix, the OpenAI API key. Okay, so I'm going to get back here and we're going to invoke this again. Okay, good. So now the review configuration is not null anymore. Here I have the OpenAI API key, and this looks like it's starting a background thread. Okay, so what do we have here? Should process event pull request event. Okay, and this is information about the pull request. Okay, we have this setting enable auto review. This is the organization. Project ID, repository ID, pull request ID, okay. Okay, the pull request cannot be found. Okay, let's actually create a real pull request. I'll say finish, and I'm going to go here in my project. Let me see if I can make, so this pull request already exists. I have a small project. Let me see where it is. To do app. Yeah, this is the temp project that I used in the past to demo how to create Azure Devops YAML pipelines. Okay, so I'm going to create some pull requests here. I'm just going to create here another branch. Test2. Let me also add a commit. Okay. Uh, let's say that I fixed the unit test. Test. No, here's what I'm going to do. Removed failing unit test. I'm curious what AI has to say about this. Okay, so I pushed the change. Let me see if my API is running. Yeah, it's running. And now I'm going to create a pull request. This one into main. Test PR. I don't have any work items. Let's just create it. And now I'm hoping it will trigger my endpoint. Yeah, it worked. So let's hit F5. Okay. Organization. Yeah, this is my last name. This is the name of my organization. So we have project ID, repository ID, pull request ID. Okay. What else? That's the OpenAI service. Pull request details. Okay, so I have the PR details, title, description, source branch, target branch. Okay, and then I can get the pull request diffs async. Is this a service created by me? Let me check. Yeah, so this is my service, and I have a method that gets the diffs. So let's go into it and see what it does. I don't really like writing code like this. I mean, it's not even writing code because the AI wrote it for me, but as you can see, it's like I'm reading someone else's code and I'm going through it, trying to understand what it does. I know it's faster, but it takes away the joy of writing code. Also, let's see, I have the pull request. Uh, then it gets the commits. So here you can see that I have 2 commits. So what does this compare between branch, compare with branch? Okay. And then it took the diffs. So if I go to changes, let's see what I have. Item. I'm curious where I have the code. So far I see this URL, commit ID, content is null. Okay. So I have the path. I have this URL, but nothing inside the content. Let me check the third one. Okay, so how do I get the changes? Diff analysis. Okay. Get file content and analyze changes. So change type is edit. For MVP, we'll create mock changes instead of complex diff analysis. Okay, so see, this is what I have to change. I don't want mock changes. I just want to take the actual change. But you see, these are the new content. So what I'm going to do now is to ask AI to replace this and actually implement the actual code. So I'm going to go to my project. Okay, I'm going to stage this changes. Let me make a commit. Okay, and I'm going to say I want to see the real diff update this code. That should be enough. Okay, my goal is to have, I should have said this from the beginning. Uh, of course, I'm not trying to create a full product, especially with vibe coding. That's a bad idea. I want an MVP. So in my case, the MVP is a Azure Devops extension that summarizes a pull request when you create it. That's it so far. I know that now I want to see the diffs, but I don't think I'm going to include this now. So after the AI finishes these changes, I will see how the summarization of the pull request works. And if that's okay, then I'll try to see how that idea works. Now let's see what code it generated. Analyze real file changes async. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Looks fine. So let's see if it's finished. No, not yet. Okay, it's building the code. There are some compilation errors. Okay, so the build succeeded. Let's test the changes. So I'm going to go here. Okay, just going to add some breakpoints. I'll start this again, and I'm going to go here. I'm going to abandon this pull request. I think here, yeah. And I'm curious, if I reactivate it, will it call my endpoint? That would be awesome. Nope, I think that's another setting. Let me check. Where was that? Project settings, service hooks. Okay. Request updated. Or no, let's leave it like that. So I'm going to abandon this one and create it again. Okay. Now my code should be invoked. Okay. Well, let's see. So we have analyze real file changes async. This will take a list of code changes. Change type is edit. Get modified file changes. Okay. So old file task, new file task. And this failed. So I'm going to give this to the AI. And I'm also going to give it the stack trace. And while the AI fixes this, I'm going to go here. Um, abandon this and I'll create it again. Okay, so the problem was that this was a folder instead of a file. Okay. Seriously, after this it will work. Okay, so the build works. Let's run our code again. Add a breakpoint here. Let's put some breakpoints here as well. Okay, and I'll go here and create the pull request. Okay, so it took, it took 0 changes, but we have more. Let's see these ones. Is folder true? Okay. Also, if it's a folder, it returns an empty list. Okay, now it's false. It's not a folder. So if it's unsupported file type, no. Change type is edit. Get modified file changes. It goes here. This is just the path. Okay, hey, here's our code. So we have, what is this? A list of strings where each string is each item is a line of code. Okay, cool. So how do you compute simple diff? What do you do here? We have 40 lines, okay. Wait a moment, so you're going to go compare by line by line. Yeah, well, this is not going to give me any good results, so I'm going to increase this max lines to play. It's already taking the max length. So old lines, that's correct. This test was there in the old code, but in the new code, it should not be there anymore. So something is wrong here. But wait a moment. No, it's still here. The new lines is not correct. Because if I go here, yeah, you see, I have only 2 unit tests. Why isn't this correct? So new file task is repository ID file path, new version. It's from branch test2, include content. Yeah, this should have the correct content. but it doesn't. So this will show that there are no changes. Yeah, I have 0 changes everywhere. If there are no changes, then it says this. Let's see if this part works. So I have this post summary post summary comment, which will summarize the pull request, and it failed. The review results. Okay, I need the list of review results. So I need to check why it didn't retrieve the new file. Let me close this. I'm going to go to my pull request. Yeah, and here we can see that this test was removed. I'm going to abandon this, create it again, and see what happens. First, let's run the API. So pull request ID is 20. Yeah, this is our pull request. Change item is folder. Yeah, this is true. But let's see. We have project repository git change. Okay, commit ID. What I'm looking for is commit 867. Let's see if this is the one. Okay, so this is my commit that had the test removed, right? Removed failing unit test. It compares it with branch main, compare between test. Okay. So let's go here. This item is folder. That's false. This is our commit. Okay, we go to the edit function. Okay, let's see. Repository ID file path, version descriptor. So this looks accurate, but the problem is that when I get the content, as you can see, it's the old content. So this is okay. It has this test in the middle, but if I go to new file, test.result, I still have this test here. What's wrong with this code? Get client, get item async. I have the repository ID, I have the file path, and the version descriptor is test2. Okay, let's talk about this with AI. The get modified file changes function retrieves the same content for old file task and new file task. Why don't Don't write any code yet. Just write point to the issue. So the issue is in the version descriptor types. Old version is git base version descriptor, new version is git target version descriptor. Should be the source branch. Looking at how they're created. The most likely issue is that we're getting the merge result rather than the pre-merge. Okay. Let me give it a screenshot. When I look in the see that the code was deleted in my source branch, but okay. The code from new file task and old file task has the removed test, the removed code. Why? I'm expecting the new file task to be a file without the deleted code. So, oh, I have deleted, not edited. Old file should have the code with the deleted lines, that's correct, should have without, okay. Into a specific commit ID instead of branch names. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's try this approach. So it says that we need to use the commit ID instead of the branch name. Okay. So I'm going to stop debugging. I'm going to abandon the pull request, create a new one. Okay. Let me also stage the changes. So if the AI messes something up, I'll still have the changes that were functional here. I can just reset the unstaged changes and get back to the last change that worked. You have a history in Cursor as well, but if you do any manual changes, then you can't use the one from Cursor anymore. I'm also used to using Git, so it's easier for me to use Git for this. Okay, let's run the code. And oh, I was supposed to create this after I run my API. So yeah, let me put a breakpoint here and see what happened. For some reason, this is not getting invoked anymore. But why? Let's abandon it again. Okay, let me start this again. Before investigating, I prefer to try the restart method. And if that doesn't work, then we'll investigate what's happening. Okay, this is where, let me stop this and start again. And then I'll go back. Let's go with for updated. Okay, so this works. Finish. And let's update our pull request. Prove it. Oh, wait a moment. Failed to process pull request event and backup. Okay, let's see if now it works. Oh, I have a breakpoint. Okay, let's see what we have here. So changes, new line solving. It's still the same. So this is for commit ID E8E, and this is for, okay, so both are resolving to the same commit ID. But here, if you look at this, it says new version 8671C. So the new file task, although it has the correct commit, it's resolving to another one. Well, when AI fails, guess it's time to Google it. Azure Devops Dev C# API. This okay. Okay, so these are the items that we have. You see, you have the commit ID and the path. Is folder true or false? This is what we have. It's a blob. But once you have this, you have to let me check. So I have old version, which is a base version descriptor, and then this one, which is a target version descriptor. Let's feed this to AI and see what it says. I still have the same content for both files. Why? Um, old version and the new version points to the right commits, but the content is the old one. Of this, okay, so the commit IDs are correct, but we're still getting the same content. It suggests that Azure Devops is not returning the file content at specific commit. Okay, the API might be ignoring returning the latest version into a different API instead of get item. I think we should use get item content, I think. Okay. Get. Okay, so we have one get item content to sync. We get a it sync doesn't work well for historical comments. It has the get blob API. What does the documentation say? So get item sync items. Yeah. Azure Devops get item sync. Get item content sync. Get item metadata content for single item. The download parameter is to indicate whether content should be available as a download or just sent as a stream the response. Okay, let's see what it did. If I open the code, now I have get item text. Yeah, let's try. Get item text async. Let's make a change. For a pull request, this should trigger the endpoint. I think I should have a breakpoint here. Let me move it. Old file content, that's correct. New file content. No, it's still the old one. So get item, I think we have the repository ID, we have the file path, and we have the version descriptor. Okay. Git base, git target, git version descriptor. This one is just git version descriptor. Version is the name of the branch. We have the file. Okay, so in our case, what is the version descriptor? New version. This is a git target version descriptor. Compare between. We compare between is version type commit. So this one uses the commit ID. Wait a moment, but these are the same. Oh no, it's merge. It's source and target. Let's try again. Okay, so source commit ID, it's source and target. Wait, that's correct. So if I go here, based on commit E8E, and the source is 867. Okay, that's correct. That's the last merge, last merge story. And I still have this. Okay. Get HTTP client base get modify file. So on my side, get item async only returns the source file, not change file. As an alternative, you can use the REST API to get the new file. Or you can follow the link here to get the diff content. So why does it do a REST API request instead of using the SDK? Get the commit IDs for the specified pull request. Okay. Get commit path, get parents commit ID, get the result. Hmm. So I'm going to say that it's still feeding the old content. Looking documentation, I need to find the right page, the modified font. Hopefully this will work. No. So I need to use query parameters instead of the version descriptor. Okay. So the Azure Devops REST API uses query parameters instead of a version descriptor object when making direct HTTP calls, but the .NET Client library should handle this differently. Let me search for the specific HTTP client.NET documentation. Okay, might not be probably handling the version descriptor. Yeah, so it's going to go with the same approach as we saw on Stack Overflow. It will use the REST API calls instead of using the SDK methods. Okay. So we'll wait for it to generate this code and we'll see if it works with the REST API calls. Okay, so I want in the next 10 minutes to be able to wrap it up with a summary for the pull request, but I also want to have the diffs analyzed. So let's see if we can make this in 10 minutes. Oh, these are a lot of changes. Yeah, normally I would never prove this code if it were a real application, because I have no idea how much it might have hallucinated here and what bugs it might have introduced. But that's the cool thing when you're creating a proof of concept. You have bugs, that's expected. You just need to see if the idea works. Okay, so the build succeeded. Let's run our code. And I'm going to go and update the pull request. Okay, this is empty, this is empty. What's wrong? Get file content that commit async. So we have this URL. I'm curious if it works in the browser. Yep, so I have my file. That's good. Oh, okay. Need to run this again because the HTTP client is exposed. Okay, so this is the URL. This works. Oh, I still get this. Okay, let's give this to AI. I'm going to stage these changes. Okay, let's try again. Okay. Still the same thing. This is an easy one. So you're not even using the client factory. It's so much code, almost 1,000 lines of code. This is definitely not acceptable. Okay, let's see what it did. Oh, it added an HTTP client factory. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so now it creates an HTTP client. Oh, it runs this in parallel. Okay, it's successful. This one. Okay, I hope this is the new one because it has only two functions. Come on. U is an invalid static file. No. The response is not JSON. So at line 755, the response is not JSON. It's the actual file. So don't deserialize anymore. Just use content. Just return the content variable. Okay. So yeah, we don't need this part. Okay, it returns the content. I'm going to remove this. And let's go here. Okay, old file content, 3 tests, that's correct. New file content, only 2 tests, that's correct. So let's see what diff we have now. Changes. Okay. So we have original content. Yeah, but this is not correct. Anyway, let's see what output we have. I mean, what the AI will say about this. So these are the changes. Lines added, lines modified 17, lines removed 7, lines added 0. Okay. Now, if we go here, we have this diff, and we ask OpenAI to review this diff. I'm curious what's the response here. Okay, so the review result is like this. The changes made to the test cases are generally good, but there's room for improvement in terms of code organization and maintainability. I have no idea what this means. Comments. It's good to see that you're testing for exceptions. Okay. Name the action variable to create the entity to do item action or something similar. Suggestions. Considering the mocking framework. Yeah, this is so generic. So useless. But now I just want to see that it works, and then we'll try to make it better. So, oh, I can post inline comments. That's cool. And I think this worked. Okay. What is this? Really? Okay. And we have the generate pull request summary async. So we're using OpenAI to summarize the pull request. Key findings. The test cases have been improved. The code organization could be better. Okay, so we should have one comment and one summary. The service object ratio could be moved to setup method. Consider using a setup method to initialize the service object. Yeah, okay. And this is the summary. The pull request introduces changes that improve the test cases. Okay. Doesn't improve anything. I'm removing a failing unit test, But the diff is wrong. I think that's the problem. So now that I have this working, I can focus on making the review more accurate. Yeah, but so far it's cool to see that it's working. So the next step will be to try to make the review more accurate. Okay, and then I'll have to create an app service in Azure. I'll try to create a test extension and deploy it in my organization. With the instead of having an ngrok URL, I will have the app service URL. And once that works, I will try to find some organizations who want to test it for free and give me some feedback. If the feedback is good and they think that the extension is useful, then I will restart the project from scratch, add paddle, and try to sell it. Okay, let's try to make the review better. So I'm not happy with the diff. I'm going to commit this code and let's see what the AI generates. That's fine. I don't care. Okay. The content is accurate now, but the diffs are complete. But diffs are not accurate. In I want you to refactor the code that retrieves, that analyzes the changes and produces the diffs. First, let's make a plan. Okay, so we have file content. Let's create a plan to refactor differences logic to produce accurate diffs. Yeah, has several major issues. No, really. Line by line comparison assumes lines align 1 to 1. Of course, that's wrong. No proper diff algorithm, incorrect line numbers, no context, of course, poor change detection. Use diffplex library. Okay, let's see what's diffplex. Generates textual diffs. It targets, okay, when expressible interfaces and classes of generating diffs. Give me an example. So, sample code. Okay. Generating unified diff format output. Choose a standard format is by get patch release on diff tools. Okay. Example output before.txt, after.txt. Three-way diff in comparison to version of this base text, old text, new text. Yeah, don't care about this. It has a sample website. It shows how to create a basic side-by-side diff in an ASP.MVC website. Okay, Blazor components. Yeah. So it recommends diffplex for production quality and speed. Okay. Go with diffplex. I'm not sure that the diffs, as we see them in Git, are the best idea. But we'll see. Yeah, we should have a service for this because the file is pretty big. The pull request review service. Or not. It reduced it. That's cool. Maybe it was the Azure Devops service, the one that has a lot of lines of code. Yeah, this is the one. Success, Diffplex integration complete. Okay. Um, let's run it and see how it works. Okay, I'm going to create another pull request. Let me close this one. Okay. So we have old file content. This part still works. Okay, that's cool. And now it uses diffplex. Okay. Okay. So what do we do here? Pick and pass processes changes with context. Okay, so we have 23 changes. Yeah, not sure if this is the right thing, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to make a screenshot with this. Okay. I'm going to say this is the changes variable returned by compute fallback diff. Do you think this is accurate? My change looks like this actually. I remove the unit test. Okay. The goal is to feed the diff to an AI and provide a useful message. So the compute fallback diff is not accurate at all. Of course it isn't. One complete unit test method was deleted. Clean deletion, 10 lines removed in one block. Water fallback diff shows line 1125 probably shows every line as having empty original content in content. Not properly identifying deletions. Okay. The fallback is being used instead of diffplex. This means diffplex throwing an exception for actually no. That's not. Or is it? It's not. So I have to break this. I have to it modified files and I didn't want to do that. Yeah, doesn't matter. Okay, so now it's running. Let me update the pull request. Okay. Okay, so now I'm telling it that these are the changes produced by that method. I'm asking if they are correct. So it's still not correct, yeah. We're still getting mostly into original content and content fields. It's working out, but our content assignment logic is wrong. Of course it is. Oh, let me stop this. Okay. I mean, you know what would be useful to have a human-like div. Uh, so instead of having line one was edited, old content, new content, line two was removed, line three was removed, and things like that, you would just say the user has removed the unit test in file test.cs. And then you send this to AI, and the AI can analyze this part, so it will understand the code changes. You know, it's one thing to ask AI, is it okay to remove this unit test if it fails? I'm sure then it would say no, you have to fix it. But if you just give the AI a list of changes in this format, like a git diff, I think this is not going to be accurate at all. But I need to find a way to transform the diff into something that the LLM can understand better. So, but I'm going to play around a bit with this more. Okay, so I have some logs. Probably it wants to see them. Okay, let's go here. So now I have these changes. But in the output, I cannot see what it. Yeah, I can't see the logs. So Okay, let me try again. I'll just modify this to put deeper. Okay, now we have this. Okay, so let's get the okay. These are the debug blocks. Okay, so for inserted and deleted. Okay. Okay. Let's see what it did. So first I need to have correct diffs, and then I can see how I can turn them into content that an LLM can understand. Okay. So now we still have 21 changes. Okay. Let me make a screenshot to show it what we have now. Okay, so it's sending this to OpenAI, but in what format? Oh, GPT-4. We need something cheaper. For now, at least. Okay, but what did we send? So this is the prompt. Please review the following changes and provide constructive feedback. Okay, so first of all, this is the generated prompt for OpenAI. And this is the response from OpenAI. As you can see, I'm expecting to OpenAI to comment about the remote unit test and advise against it. How can I create a diff that is easy to understand by AI, not by a large language model? Let's make a plan first. I'm going to stage these changes. and stop this. So, confusing format. Multiple empty deletion looks like formatting, not content. No context, doesn't show what was actually deleted. Missing semantic information. No clear deleted method indicator. Full line representation. Yeah. What the source, all the expression changes, widget phrase. Bunch of mysterious lines that it ignored. No clear indication that an entire test method was removed. Exactly. So this is the problem. This is not enough for a large language model to produce an accurate review. So implement the new length format. Okay, so what's your idea? Um, how are you planning to create an LLM friendly summary of the pull request changes? So the key is to analyze the diff data we already have and transform into a semantic readable format. So it plans to categorize changes by type, deleted methods, added methods, modified methods, property changes, test changes, modified blocks. No, that's not okay. I create a new service that analyzes diff and generates semantic summaries. Method detection logic. Content contains fact test. Semantic understanding that's method tests classes, not just line changes. Impact analysis explains what the change means. Test coverage functionality. I'll add this to the OpenAI service or create new semantic diff service. Yeah, okay, this sounds cool, but I don't like this approach. This semantic diff should be uh, programming language agnostic. I don't want to have categories of changes. Let me see, like these ones. Like the ones from. Do you have a better approach that is more generic and still provides a semantic diff? Maybe we can use AI to interpret the changes and provide the semantic diff to OpenAI. For example, how can I um, take the diff and feed it to an LLM in such a way that it detects that I removed the method? So AI powered semantic analysis, two-stage AI process. Semantic analysis AI interprets raw diff, code reviewer AI reviews the semantic changes. Instead of trying to detect patterns programmatically, let's create a clean Git style diff that any LLM can understand. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Yes, implement. Let's see what happens. I mean, what I have now is a pretty basic example. It's just a unit test that is removed. But imagine trying to understand large files with a lot of changes now. And I saw pull requests even in the past few days where we had tens of files modified. Maybe 90% were just because we moved some files and we had to arrange the namespaces and the usings. So those are useless. But do you want to burn AI tokens on those? I guess not. So we need a way to get yeah, the useful diff from the pull request. For example, I'm not interested in the fact that you move the file necessarily, and that generated a lot of namespaces being updated. But I'm interested in changes where you introduced a bug, where you introduced performance issues, security issues, and so on. So maybe that's why no one has created a pull request reviewer for Azure DevOps, because it's more complicated. I don't know. We'll see. So it created a semantic diff analyzer, universal diff generator. Yeah, changes should be per file. Maybe the semantic diff analyzer could receive a file and it will say, here is test.cs, and here's what we did in this file. So it will say, we removed this line, we changed these lines, and so on. So then the AI could make a review per file. Okay, so universal diff generation. I'm curious if this works as advertised. So let's see, we have the semantic diff analyzer. Let's put a breakpoint here and one. Okay, and we also have the universal diff generator. Curious how this will work. So let's add something here and let's start. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to make some updates. Save. Oh, this is not used. So why do you still do this? Okay, are you actually invoking this? Let me check. So, oh, you're still doing this here. Okay, let's leave it like this. So I'll just remove this. Okay, let's see how this works. So this is the universal diff generator. Okay, and our file looks like this. File, create task should, change type, modified lines, +4 -11, diff. Okay, so we have minuses here because this was removed. That's okay, that's fine. It's closer from something. Okay, this is the universal diff generated. Are you okay with this? Um, Let me see what review I get from AI. Medical analysis. The changes made to the code have improved rebuildability, but have resulted in the loss of a test case, which could potentially reduce test coverage. Yay! Finally, we have something a little bit useful. Okay, good. No, I'm not going to ask this. Also, do you still need the classic diff? Let's remove that one and keep only semantic diff. So let me stage these changes. The deleted assignment is clearly shown, confusing formats. Okay. I would expected to see something like this. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let me fix the universal diff. But I didn't mean that one. I mean the one from the, what was that? For request review service, I think. Let's see what changes it did. Okay. Yeah. I meant this code. Do you still need it? If not, clean it up. Don't leave any unused method. Okay, let's quickly make a commit with this. And I'm going to stage this. So you need the logic for the semantic analyzer. We need filtering to respect user configuration. But actually we don't need this. So okay. It's saying that we still need this. Okay, let me run the code. And let's see if this one will be better. Okay, so what, how does this look now? Okay, so okay, what did you do? This is the universal diff. In the screenshot you have the diff from Azure Devops. Is the one generated accurate? It is of significant accuracy issues. So it correctly shows lambda expression changes. Okay, incomplete vision capture. Our diff doesn't show the full deleted method for line grouping location. Um, no, remove the debug log. It boom. Then fix the universal diff generator. Okay, I need to make this smaller. But still, the output is not okay. I'm curious if the problem is the diffplex generated diff. Okay, let's see what we have now. Okay, and the universal diff looks like this. So I'm going to say this is the universal diff, and then I'm going to say that these are the changes from that. Can I make this bigger? Maybe here. Okay, perfect. In the screenshot, I have the diff reduced with diffplex. Oh, I've hit my usage limit. What now? So, upgrade to Pro, switch model to Auto. Um, yeah, let's upgrade to Pro Plus. Okay, I'm waiting for this to work. Okay. Let's try again. So universal diff is now accurate and is now showing the completion correctly. 0 to 20, okay. So it says that it's now working correctly. Okay, let's test it. The changes made to the code have improved. Okay. Yeah, we have the same review. Well, are you sure this is correct? We have these lines added, this line removed, these lines removed. Okay. Oh, I have another idea. So the semantic diff should just um should just say what it observes. Should just describe the changes. Then our pull request review will gather these descriptions and make an overview with issues and recommendations. For example, in this file, in our situation, in our file, the AI should say that the test, what's its name? Was removed. And that because this is the only important change in this file. Then the pull request reviewer uh, need with OpenAI will take these descriptions and draw conclusions. How can we do this? So, uh, you see, this is the one of the big advantages of coding with AI proof of concept, because I have no idea how the final solution will look. Okay, so right now I'm just testing various ideas, and it would take me a lot more time to implement all these changes, like going from a plain git diff to a semantic diff, trying various things and so on. It's much easier to do it with AI. Yeah, and in the end, when I have a flow that works and I'm satisfied with it, at least I know that I have a working solution. So most likely I will start a new project where I'll implement things the right way, and I'll remove all this research and experimentation part. When I'll write the right code from the start, one that works in a clean way. Okay, so let's see what it did here. These are the review instructions, semantic diff. Okay, let's run it again. And then I'm going to make some more changes and see what it says about those. Okay, keep forgetting to switch to GPT-4 Mini. Okay, semantic analysis. Changes made involve formatting and removal of a test method. The formatting change improves readability, but the removal of a test method could impact test coverage. Yeah, you see, this is not the right semantic analysis. Uh, this is the semantic analysis received for my file. I was expecting something like this. In file, what's the name of the file? createastro.cs. The user formatted code and removed a test method. And removed a unit test. Okay, let's see what's the final result. So now you see it goes through filter this, create enhanced context. The changes made, okay, based on changes, focus on providing. Also update, oops, sorry. So let's see what's the result. The changes made to the seems to be more about cleaning up the code than adding more function. About removal test method should reduce test coverage, which needs to be addressed. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to skip this part. Yeah, I'm not happy with it. GPT-4o. Okay, so I'm changing the model. Mm, the flow should be like this. Extract diff for a file. Um, no, extract diffs for all files. For each file, get its semantic diff with OpenAI that describes the changes um, with details like method names, variable name, um, and a short summary for that file. And then builds the semantic diff with OpenAI. A final review will take all the semantic diffs for all the files and send this to OpenAI to receive a list of recommendations of comments if needed. Then these semantic diffs will be used to generate a pull request summary, which you'll post on the PR. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's see what I did so far. So it changed the model, that's okay. Still writing code. Okay, so let's try it. So we have per file semantic analysis, individual file review, aggregated summary. Okay, sounds good. Okay, let's see our universal div. This is still fine. For this, we could create some unit tests. Okay, semantic analysis. Changes made in this will improve the reliability. Okay, all exception this code. However, a unit test was removed, which may remove test coverage for the service class. Okay, that's fine. And this is going to filter diffs. Okay, that's nice. And then we aggregate the semantic analysis. Okay. Okay. There's a problem. Here I need the name of the file. What's the name of this variable? Wouldn't it have the file name before the text, before the semantic analysis? Let me stop this. Okay, so if you go here, yeah, it should also add the key. No, that's not correct. File name should be added here before each semantic analysis. File created as. Okay, so then it will be like this. Okay, that's fine. But let's try again. What happened? Okay, you change simplify the exception testing code but remove one. Okay, that's fine. aggregated and file create task should okay. That's good. And what do we have here? As context. Looks like this. Okay, and file create instruction. Okay, let's see what we have here. So the review result has this overall assessment. The changes made simplified, okay, but from critical test case which negatively impacts success coverage. It is essential to ensure that all critical scenarios are covered in the test to maintain integrity of the application. Okay. Okay, let's let it post the inline comments, then we'll see what's the post summary comment, and then we'll do some more changes. But I'll use another branch for that. Okay. So now if I refresh this, I have files reviewed, issues found. Oh, what are the issues? Reintroduce or remove critical case, consider factoring exception testing or remove basic test or maintain reliability. Okay. So while simplifying the exception testing, what is beneficial? It should not come at the cost of the game. But it's the same issue. Okay. I'm going to create another branch. So let me stage this. I'm going to go to main, and I'm going to do the following things. I'm going to add a breaking change. Should be ABCD. Uh, I'm going to go to pages. Let's introduce a typo. Please contact us at contact at company.com if you have any issues with our product. Okay, we have a typo here. Let's do some changes. Here is up and running. Service is down. No, that's we have these health checks. Let's comment some code and see what it thinks about it. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and I'll add a comment saying, remember to uncomment this before merge. No, let's say uncomment this before merge. Okay, and what else? DB context. Let's add the to do. Now, what's one thing that bad practice when implementing framework? Or let's think something that the static analysis will not catch, but I want our AI review to catch. Okay. Have these migrations. Well, if I remove this, the to-do items table and I generate a migration, it will delete it. But how can I make this seem a mistake? Because if I intentionally delete it, that's fine. Oh, I can generate a migration that makes me lose data. So what would be a migration that would make me lose data? I can put a length. Okay, so here I can say what's the attribute for the next length? Okay, yeah, let's do it with next length. Let's leave it like this. So I'm going to create a branch. I'll go filtering. Let's generate. Okay, so I'm going to push these. This is running. Let me create a pull request. Great. Let's see what review we get for this one. No, it didn't work. Oh, maybe it must be updated. Yeah. Okay, so we have this one. Let's see. File to the DB context. The following changes were made. The constructor for the DB context has modified in formatting the constructors of the same line. But I don't care about this. I need data annotation. Okay, okay, here's the do some formatted review. But okay, so the get semantic and analysis function produce this response. Why do I have a JSON and I don't want to have insignificant changes in the semantic diff, like the one what was that? Opening brace being to another line. That's not important. Let's see what it does. Get plain text analysis to link. Without JSON formatting. Just mention it should be plain text instead of also add in the prompt that it should only describe important code changes that might affect performance, security, or code, code readability. Not code readability or how should we say this? Performance, security, functionality, or uh, might, how should I say this? Instead of having clean code, it should make it ugly code. I don't know, or produce or produce bad practices. Okay. I still don't see this changed. So maybe to introduce them here, but what's this? The semantic diff analyzer at line 74. Semantic diff analyzer. So let's create semantic analysis prompt. Okay. Then at the moment, is that used dedicated? What's happening here? Get plain text analysis. See. So this is service, this is prompt. Also, this is chat message and this is the user chat message prompt. Okay, let's leave it like this. We'll try again. Okay, semantic analysis in the file. Okay, no data validation has added name property enforcement. Okay, this change was adding credit. Okay, which could lead to potential errors or performance issues. Additionally, the constructor formatting was adjusted, but this is okay. I don't like this part. Let's see what this method does. If starts with okay. Good. And now we should have 3 divs. Okay, let's go to the next one. What does it say here? In to-do service, the switch case was modified specifically, okay, which means that the logic that reverts okay is now effectively disabled. This change alters the behavior of the method. Okay. Additionally, there's a comment indicating that the case should be uncommented before merging, suggesting that this change may be temporary or under consideration for further review. Yes, this is what I wanted for the AI to notice. Good, that's fine. Let's see the next one. So the systematic analysis in file create, okay, this change indicates a potential modification in the business logic or validation rule which will transmit behavior. Additionally, okay, which could affect the outcomes and validation logic. Okay, and didn't I also modify the, let me go here, the RC HTML file, but it seems that it's not among the filtered divs. Here I have 12 divs. Let me look at the file name. Yeah, so it's here, but somehow it wasn't included. Okay, I'll just run the entire thing. Okay, the value is outside of the allowed range. What's this? I have to post in my comment for line 0. Okay. Summary content, summary comments. Okay. So let me stop this. Let's see what we have here. And I'll start this prompt. I'll stage my changes. And I'll go to the pull request. So we have the review summary. Too much text. I want something shorter. Files requiring attention. The changes made raise concerns. Okay. The changes in the expected name from one case, just in communication, validation rules. Yeah. So I think that until now, I've proven that the AI review can be useful, but it needs further changes in the prompt because it finds some issues that you would not find with static analysis. But yeah, I would not want to read this. I'll just go to the changes, especially in this case when we have only a few files modified. And I also have to investigate why this was not caught. But overall, I think I'm on the right track. So I'm going to put some more effort into this to to refine the prompt and the results. After that, I will have to do some performance tests and create an actual large pull request with a lot of files modified. So if I have, let's say, 100 modified files, but 95% of those files just have formatting changes, then I want to ignore those. And that should not bankrupt me with API calls to OpenAI. So I would need a way to find out if the changes are relevant enough to be sent to OpenAI and get the semantic diff, or I should just ignore them. Once I have that, yeah, I think I can get started on integrating the extension in my Azure Devops project directly, deploying it to Azure, and see how it works there. That's it so far. I was planning to do like a 30-minute stream, and I think 2 hours passed. I'm getting tired. Um, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. It's the first time I'm doing this, so I think it's a lot better than trying to record videos and publish them later. If you're curious what happens with this extension, I encourage you to keep watching this, because I'll try to stream again in the following days. I'll try to make a recurring schedule, but right now I don't know what that will be. So you can try to subscribe, and I will try to schedule my streams with at least one day in advance until I have a recorded schedule. Okay, thank you for watching.